Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan.
Our next guest is Alisa Chatinsky with the Sophia Way. Alisa moved to the Seattle area about 1 year ago to serve as interim executive director of the Sophia Way. With 30 years experience helping nonprofits, she brings her leadership and skills to help the Sophia Way reach its next stage of growth. After falling in love with the organization's mission and the Pacific Northwest, she decided to become the permanent executive director, bringing her passion to help those less fortunate. The Sophia Way is a private, not-for-profit organization that serves more than 1,100 women annually who are experiencing homelessness. Even with decades of nonprofit leadership, nothing prepared her for dealing with COVID-19 that struck our community this past month. Welcome to the show, Alisa.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So we like to ask each guest as we get started here to share a fond memory of the home you grew up in.
Well, I'm going to share something. I grew up in Minnesota, and I had a beautiful house up on a hill. And I absolutely loved it. It had a little flagstone front, and I remember playing in the backyard, playing tag and everything else that a child did. Years later, I bought my first house in Prescott, Arizona. And about 8 years later, I went back to Minnesota, and I realized when I pulled up to the house, I bought the exact same house.
No way.
It looked like this. It had the same flagstone front. It had, it was a knockoff. It had the same flagstone fireplace in it. Absolutely everything about it.
Funny.
So who knows, it's like you've got something in your subconscious.
Well, actually, it's interesting. I watched a documentary that they were examining beauty. What do we see as beautiful? And one of the dominant characteristics was familiarity. And so there it was. That was beauty in the eye of the beholder. There you go.
And the funny thing was I had no idea until years later when I went back to Minnesota and I went to look in front of my old house and I went, oh my gosh, I bought the same
bought the same house. That's great.
So tell us about the Sophia Way.
Well, the Sophia Way has been around since about 2008. It all started when a woman that had attended a local church walked in one evening when the women were gathering and said, I don't have a place to sleep. And the other women in the church were stunned that, first of all, that this woman was homeless. She'd been coming to church regularly, and they all knew her. And secondly, they realized that there was no place for women on the East Side. So it really started as a grassroots organization. It started off with one church, and then another one got involved, and then a synagogue, and then a mosque, and it really started as that community of faith reaching out. And in 2012, we became a nonprofit organization, an official 501c3, and have continued to grow. And our programs have grown substantially over time. We now have, we serve about 1,200 women annually this past year. Unfortunately, I would love to see, fortunately and unfortunately.
Right.
Fortunately, we have a place for them. Unfortunately, there's 1,200 individuals experiencing homelessness, women experiencing homelessness on our East Side.
So tell us about the women you serve. What's going on?
It's interesting enough. The one thing that really shocks me, and I'm going to share with you, is that what we're experiencing, not only here in Seattle, but around the country, is called what we're calling the Silver Tsunami. And that is about 30% of the women that we're serving and people that we're serving around the country are homeless for the first time over the age of 55.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And I swear, and when I share that with people, I said, it could be me.
Yeah.
It could be your mother. It could be your grandmother. I mean, when we stop and take a deep breath and you look back and you go, oh my gosh, there, but anyway, so, there, but the grace of God go I. So you really realize that people are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Substantially, when we see these older women, they've had savings in their life. They have Social Security income. And what happens is, as the rents rise, they continue to pay more and more rent, or they have more and more expenses or medical expenses. And then they eventually, their life savings dwindles down.
Yeah.
And they're left with an average Social Security payment of $735 a month.
Tough to live on that.
it's tough to even buy groceries on that.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. We have, unfortunately, disproportionately, we have more women of color. We have about 48% of the women that we serve are of color, which is a sad, sad thing. As far as the racial inequity goes in our community. We have about 38% of them are either emotionally or physically disabled in some way. So there's a lot of issues that are women are. But I'll tell you, the one thing that I find about them is that they're resilient, they're tough, and they're good people that just have fallen upon hard times. And I just say to people, it's like it really could be any of us. 70% of Americans, and I think it's going to even change even worse, are one paycheck away from homelessness.
So what are those myths around homelessness right now?
Well, I think I kind of shared a little bit about that, is that people think that sometimes that everybody's a drug addict, or everybody's an alcoholic, or they don't want to work. And that's just not true. A number of the women that live in our shelter actually do go to work every day. Unfortunately, as the East Side is a very expensive place, we have, I think the median income, or the income to survive over on the East Side is about $100,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
92% of the women that we serve earn less than $40,000 a year, have an income of less than $40,000 a year.
Wow.
How do you get out of that?
Right.
So I think it's understanding what has happened to people, how they become homeless. Sometimes it's domestic violence. Sometimes it's past trauma from, abuse as a child, a number of things.
Yeah.
But it's not just that they're not lazy.
Right.
B, they're not all drunks and drug addicts. So those are the myths.
Yeah. How are you funded?
Fortunately, we have about 41% of our funding comes from King County and the East Side cities.
Okay.
And we are truly, truly grateful for that. The rest of it comes from our community. And that's the other part, where we are constantly reaching out. Individuals make up the huge piece of that, as well as the community of faith and corporations and foundations.
Okay. So how have things changed with the current COVID-19 crisis?
When you put 50 women in a small space, and then you tell them that you need to provide 6 feet
social distancing. Oh my God.
Right.
Social distancing, it's quite difficult. Our day center is located on Northeast Bellevue Way in Bellevue, and I don't know the square footage, but it's not large.
Yeah.
So when you're putting 50 women in there that are getting their breakfast and lunch, they're doing their laundry, they're taking their showers, they're checking their emails, they're charging their cell phones, all the things that you and I kind of take for granted. When they're doing that, and there's 50 women in that room, things get tight and things get tense. So, and I think the anxiety level of everyone is extremely high right now. When you couple that, with close quarters, we're stuck in our homes, so we're stuck in typically, bigger homes with a few people. So I think things are getting tough there. We do have women that are coming in that we do see that may be sick because of testing. We're not, because testing isn't fully available in our community. They are not getting tested. And some of the women, again, especially the ones with some mental health issues, don't want to leave. They have found that the Sophia Way is safe. They know it, they feel safe. And if we were to say to them, we want you to isolate and go into quarantine at a strange place, it's going to be really tough for them.
Yeah.
So Alisa, can I get a few more specifics? So you have a day facility. Where are these gals spending the evening?
Actually, we had been for years now. Our emergency shelter has moved from church to church, synagogue to synagogue, mosque to mosque, typically at 3-month intervals. Because of COVID, we were at Temple B'nai Torah over in the Crossroads area. Wonderful, wonderful synagogue. And since COVID broke out, we asked the current location where we have our day center and our extended day shelter if we could move our emergency women there, because it's so hard to staff. and coordinate all of our meals, everybody coming and going. The other most important part of that is we typically, our day center closed typically at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Right.
And our emergency shelter didn't open until 8:30 at night. So there's 5.5 hours that our women are typically on the street. Unfortunately, again, everything's closed now. Our libraries are closed. Our coffee shops are closed.
Oh, wow.
Our transit centers are closed. Where does someone go? So we realized we had to go 24/7 in order to keep the women safe.
So that's what
right
you've
now,
done.
Everything is co-located at our shelter on Bellevue Way. The good news is, in the future, within the next 6 months, we will be moving into a permanent shelter that will be our day center and emergency shelter over in Kirkland.
Great.
So how has the community responded to this in light of COVID-19?
Unbelievably. We receive about 1/3 of our entire budget is given through in-kind donations. Last year, we served over 25,000 meals that were donated by our community. And I'm not talking about restaurants or anything like that. I'm talking about mom and pops. I'm talking about service clubs. We have some junior high kids, some church ladies, all different types of groups coming in and donating those meals. Well, with COVID, prior to this, they could come out, but a lot of people were scared to, and a lot of our donors are older, and now they really can't come out. So what we did is we started a campaign just over a week ago, saying, folks, we're going to need to buy food. We're going to be, and there's a lot more expenses. We figure our expenses are an additional about $20,000 a week.
Wow.
24/7 with extra staff, with overtime, purchasing food, additional utilities, and everything else that goes into this. So that's a huge chunk of change.
No kidding.
But the community has responded with open hearts and open arms, helping any way that they can. We've been reaching out to restaurants saying, could you donate? Could you give us some food? Could we buy some food from you? And some of them would say, well, this would typically cost you, $2,000 or $3,000 a day, but sure, if you pay for the cost of our food, which should probably be $1,000, we'll give you the food for as much food as you need.
Wow.
For days and days. So
how can our listeners help?
They can give. That's really the most important thing at this point, because we do have an Amazon wish list, of course, because we need gloves, we need masks, we need the women need a lot of things, sports bras and leggings and socks and all the things that all of us take for granted. Hygiene products, those things, hands, sanitizer, disinfecting products, all those things are sorely needed. Most people can't just bring them. So what we're saying is, if you can, please order them.
How do our listeners reach you?
Or send us a gift. They can go onto our website, which is Sophia Way, SOPHIAWAY.org, and they can click on the emergency fund and make a gift there, or they can go onto our wish list and find our wish list and pick up whatever they need.
Yeah, I saw the Amazon wish list. It was actually right there in front, and it's quick and easy. Add a couple of things, send it over. That sounds like the greatest need. So last bit of question is, if somebody wanted to actually help in any other way, would they get in touch with you, Alisa?
I would have them just reach out to info@sophiaway.org.
Perfect.
And we have an amazing staff. So I'm going to say we have a volunteer coordinator. We've got people in communications, and everybody is pulling extra shifts and everything that they need to do to make sure that our women are taken care of, our staff remain healthy, and our donors are well cared for.
I mean, I reached out to you yesterday afternoon, and we had you on the show today. It was really great. Z got me in contact with you directly, and that was quick and easy and fantastic. I'm so glad that we're able to spotlight you on our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's right. Thank you, Alisa.
Thank you.
Remember that all the segments of our show are available to watch on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about any of our guests, please subscribe. Join us after the break for some final thoughts and something fun to do.